Welcome to EDPS 20 Talks, produced by the European Data Protection Supervisor. My name is Wojciech Wiewiórowski. I am the European Data Protection Supervisor. And since we think that we believe that it's crucial to engage in the conversation with the experts in data protection from different fields, we decided to make these 20 talks for the 20th anniversary of EDPS. And today I have the opportunity to talk with Katherine Race Brin, who is the Chief Privacy Officer of the World Bank and has quite a lot of experience in this field in the United States. She was also Chief Privacy Officer for Federal Trade Commission. So welcome, Katie. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Wojciech. The pleasure is all mine. It's a wonderful opportunity to foster collaboration among privacy professionals, international organizations, and regulatory bodies. There's a lot that we can learn from each other, and I really appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation.
Thank you very much. We start always with private question. So what does privacy means to you?
To me, privacy embodies primarily respect and trust. So individuals should not be surprised about how their data is being used. Privacy means having control over our personal information and knowing that it's being treated with care. And when it comes down to it, privacy is really about fostering a safe environment where individuals feel secure in sharing their data. If they're not feeling secure in sharing their data, they won't do so. They need to feel free from the fear of misuse or unauthorized access to that data. And it is such a privilege to be leading the privacy efforts at an organization like the World Bank that's committed to handling individuals' data with the utmost care. This is particularly important when we're collecting and processing personal data from vulnerable populations. So I'll go into a little bit more detail later, but about how we focus our program on three main things: education and training, reviewing privacy risks, and developing practices and guidance that are user-friendly for staff. And we all know that EDPS is the DPA of EU institutions, but Wojciech, can you please explain why we gathered in Washington, D.C. a few weeks ago for the International Associations Workshop that gathered international organizations from all over the world? And why did the EDPS engage in such cooperation with international organizations?
Well, because being the data protection authority of the EU institutions means to be the data protection authority of the international organization. After all, European Union is the international organization. So my predecessor, Peter Hastings, when he started his work as the European Data Protection Supervisor in 2004, decided that we should create the platform for international organizations to share their knowledge and share their expertise in data protection. And we started it as a small workshop for a few organizations that were interested at this time. But now we have more than 70 international organizations that are meeting every year and also cooperate throughout the year. For the first time, we had an opportunity to meet on the other side of the Atlantic. So that's not only the meeting which happens in Europe. We shown the global reach of the data protection and privacy protection in the international organizations. So gathering the professionals from the international organizations from all around the world, like we did in World Bank headquarters in Washington, is really a very good opportunity to find out what are the differences and what are the similarities between us. And World Bank has a task to alleviating extreme poverty and promoting shared prosperity. Can you please tell us what does it mean for the Chief Privacy Officer? What is actually your role in ensuring that there is a responsible collecting, using, and sharing the data?
So in my role at the World Bank, I oversee the implementation, enforcement of our data privacy policy to ensure that personal data is collected, used, and shared responsibly. As you mentioned, the World Bank's mission, which is a lofty one, is to end extreme poverty and promote shared prosperity on a livable planet. And this involves handling vast amounts of personal data. Often that personal data is of vulnerable populations. And as I mentioned earlier, the Data Privacy Office, our program focuses on 3 main points. The first is educating and training our staff regarding privacy. This is a huge part of what we do. It includes everything from hosting high-level learning events to more tailored business role-based training. We have a mandatory e-learning that the entire staff takes every year. And we also have an incredible network of privacy focal points who are World Bank staff who are embedded in business units across the bank. And together we work to advise our colleagues on how personal data should be used in a safe and secure way. The second main point that we focus on is we review and assess privacy risks with new vendors, systems, and initiatives. So we work with our business units, other risk partners to ensure that privacy is baked into our processing activities, and we're thinking about privacy at the beginning to identify potential pitfalls. Third, we maintain procedures and guidance that can be easily understood and applied by staff. This ensures consistent application of privacy principles and enables our business to operate. So that isn't to say that this work is without challenges. We have to translate privacy principles into operational reality, and that can be really difficult. And this is true particularly when there are various levels of sophistication around the world, particularly when we're dealing with third parties. And it's also particularly true at a place as large and complex as the bank. We have new and emerging technologies, ever increasing use of data, and this amplifies those challenges. All of that to say that protecting individual privacy isn't effortless, but the World Bank Data Privacy Office works to help staff comply with our privacy policies. So speaking of challenges and new technologies, people would probably want to hear your thoughts, Wojciech, on AI. So I've got a question for you about that. AI is increasingly becoming embedded in the operations of organizations around the world, and it brings lots of exciting opportunities, but also some pretty significant privacy challenges. How do you see the balance between leveraging AI's potential and upholding key privacy principles like data minimization and fairness? And kind of thinking of this further in light of the EU AI Act, which entered into force last August, how do you envision EDPS's role in supervising and managing the risks of AI within EU institutions?
Thank you for this $1 million question. Well, actually, we will have to approach artificial intelligence with the toolbox we have, with the toolbox which is from data protection regulation and the toolbox which is from market surveillance authorities. EDPS is at the same time the data protection authority, and we'll have to deal with the principles like data minimization, like the purpose limitation, like fairness and transparency towards all the IT systems, including those that are dealing with artificial intelligence, that are using artificial intelligence. And at the same time, according to the Artificial Intelligence Act, EDPS became the competent authority for the AI supervision in the EU institutions, bodies, and agencies. So we will play all these roles together, but with the toolbox that has been delivered to us. Only few percent of the AI uses might be really dangerous for us as a mankind, or might go out of our control. But we have to keep the control, otherwise we will not be able to develop our societies. So if you consider the next 10 or 20 years, what are the main trends and evolutions of our digital societies that you would anticipate? And what would be the impact of them on international organizations and the World Bank particularly? And what should we do to prepare, to be ready for that?
That's a great question. The volume and complexity of data is growing exponentially, and that brings really fantastic opportunities for international organizations, but also introduces quite a bit of risk, particularly in the world of data management and privacy protection. So at the World Bank, we are increasingly positioning ourselves as a data bank. So that includes not only data-driven projects, but also data of and for our stakeholders, governments, and even independent researchers and individuals. And they all rely heavily on the data that the bank collects and makes available. And so as we're committed to becoming faster, more efficient, more accessible in operations, we want to make it easier to work with us. But as we enhance our data capabilities, we recognize that this comes with the responsibility to handle this data with care, particularly when the data is sensitive in nature. So we're focusing on streamlining our processes, delivering timely projects while still ensuring that privacy and data protection is not lost or compromised along the way. And so in order to navigate this pretty complicated landscape, we're prioritizing kind of a practical privacy by design approach in our DPO's engagement across the bank. And we're integrating privacy considerations into our core operations from the outset and fostering innovation while handling privacy risk. So to stay ahead and to be ready, collaboration across all key areas of our organization is essential. And we can adapt robust frameworks that digital societies need to successfully leverage data. So things such as AI governance, AI risk management, data quality policies. And I should be clear that this is not only the job of the privacy function at all. These frameworks need real cross-organizational buy-in, cooperation in order to be effective. And they should go hand in hand with proactively upgrading and leveraging frameworks that already exist. This is one of the reasons why privacy is so ingrained in what's happening in AI, because we can use a lot of our privacy framework to inform how we're addressing AI. And so, I would just end by saying that building a privacy-centric culture is really essential. And we have to continue to promote privacy awareness and training to embed data privacy into our organizations, collaborating with regulators, industry experts, and stakeholders, just like we did at the International Organization Workshop. While this doesn't mean that issues won't arise at the World Bank, we're thinking purposefully, strategically about privacy so we can be well prepared to navigate this evolving digital landscape responsibly. And we're fulfilling our mission with integrity.
Well, before we conclude the talks, allow me to reiterate that it was a pleasure of having you here during the 20 talks of EDPS. And thank you very much for the wonderfully organized workshop for international organizations in Washington.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you for being with us in this episode of EDPS 20 Talks. My name is Wojciech Wiewiórowski. I'm the European Data Protection Supervisor. I invite you to take a look at the previous episodes and to other initiatives which we done marking the 20th anniversary of the European Data Protection Supervisor. Thank you.